Getting into the top prop bets for the national championship game between Purdue and UConn. So looking at right now, guys, the best bet that we currently have on the board is going to be Zach Edey for under his fantasy score on both sites, which already is an extremely interesting line that we are getting because to start the week, Zach Edey's fantasy score on PrizePicks was at like 46 or so, and I believe it was actually a little bit higher on Underdog as well. So both the lines have come together a little bit more, which is much more accurate in terms of how the data is saying it's going to go. Now, the data is definitely favoring the under here, which is definitely interesting. And I will say, like, if you are wanting to bet Zach Edey for under fantasy score like the data is telling us to do, I personally like the under points a little bit better at 24.5 instead, because if he does not get to his fantasy score of 47.5, he's most likely not going to get to his over 24.5 points. I would say that heavily correlates. Whereas I do think he can get his over fantasy score if he gets to only, let's say, 23 points because he gets blocks and a bunch of rebounds as well. So I would say the points bet is going to be the better bet, and that'd be the one I would want to roll with. The other bet that we are getting here for Purdue is going to be Mason Gillis for under 5.5 points. That one's been there for quite a while on PrizePicks. We can already see Underdog has bumped it down. We can just see based off of the data that we're pulling in here is that this one is kind of an easy click on a one-game slate. Like, we don't have a lot of prop bets to pick and choose from. This is one that we kind of just have to play. So where Ben is under there, we can see Ben very much hit or miss in terms of gain there. So that's a fine bet that we have as well. And then another one that I want to call out as well, Donovan Clingan for under his fantasy score. Not exactly like a bet that is great, only about a 53.96% chance to hit. But at 30.5, we can see the data does light the under there for him as well. So after those three prop bets that are just kind of the best prop bets that we have on the board, I want to show you guys some bets that are good bets in the sense that we are getting some decent prop line differences. So let's go ahead and pull this up. So first and foremost, part of the reason I think as to why the data likes Donovan for under his points, rebounds, and assists is the simple fact that there's some discrepancy between his points, rebounds, and assists as well. Underdog has that lower, PrizePicks has a little bit higher. The data is essentially saying it probably should be at 23.5 as like a 50-50. But that kind of echoes why the under fantasy score is kind of one of the ones that are popping up. Other than that, in terms of PrizePicks being higher than Underdog, there's only Cam Spencer for points and assists. Again, that one's basically a 50-50 either way, so no big edge there. Where we are getting the biggest edge today is going to be in the fantasy score prop line differences. This is a very big prop line difference for Alex here. And so when we look at this line, like we can see average sportsbook line has set at 22.6. Projection data has it set at 22.8. And when we look at the average sportsbook line, it is somewhat of a 50-50 there for that line. But we look at the Underdog line at 24.2. I guess round up to 24.3. And then the PrizePicks line at 21.5. What is the data telling us? It's telling us that both these lines are probably wrong. That he probably does have a really great chance to end up in the middle of this, to get to 23 points where on Underdog it hits and then on PrizePicks it hits. Do I exactly love doing that? No, but it is a one-game slate and we do have to get a little bit unique if we want to get a decent slip out there. And I think that's a good way to go about doing it. I like to bet a little bit more on PrizePicks, but at the same time, he was someone that did get into a little bit of foul trouble at the beginning of the game, last game against Alabama, and was still able to crush his over in the second half of that game. So that probably will dictate whether or not he gets his over. And if we are betting Clingan for under his fantasy score, Caravan there for over his fantasy score is one that I would say makes sense. And then another one where we are getting a decent prop line difference where the data is telling us it's closer to a 50-50 as well is going to be Tristan Newton for his fantasy score here. So we are seeing about a 2.5 for a prop line difference. Again, that shouldn't really be happening, but at least when we look at the data, this one makes more sense. The average sportsbook line has it set at 34.3. PrizePicks has it set at 32.5. And then we look at the projection, 32.5. And then the Underdog line about 35. So we can see why there's a little bit of difference between PrizePicks and Underdog. Slightly different evaluations for a certain statistic could be making that difference. So do I like betting the over or under on either site with this? No, but probably would favor the under a little bit more on Underdog. Still a tight one though. If you guys want to just go based off of like prop line differences, you can, because we shouldn't be seeing really any big prop line differences of 2 ever. And I've been saying that the whole college basketball season has been a very big edge for us. I'm kind of sad that this is going to be going away. But real quickly, let's go and check out Underdog as well, just seeing the better edges that we're getting there. It does like some under fantasy scores a little bit more, as we have come to expect from Underdog. That has just been the case. But really, these two are the best two, apparently. So I'm kind of fine with using those as well. And so with that, let's go on and get to the bet of the day for both sites. We're going to go and start out with Underdog. Again, if you guys have never signed up for Underdog, just use the promo code 905. That'll just help out supporting the channel. And so for Underdog, you know, not the most fun slip here, but again, trying to hit the middle here with this prop bet. And then these were the two best prop bets that we had on the board on Underdog today. Don't really love betting the unders for a national championship game. That just is not fun, just as an FYI. I probably, like, this will probably be my only bet that I make on Underdog for the national championship game, just as an FYI, because, well, it's a one game slate. Want to get some exposure for fun, but I'm not going to go crazy with it, attacking some sort of big edges that we have, because we don't have big edges. And that'll end up being my exact approach with PrizePicks as well, guys. Like, yes, I want to have some exposure to PrizePicks to make the game more fun. That's really what I'm trying to accomplish here today with the college basketball bets of the day. Like, we shouldn't be going too aggressive. Sure, if there's a bet that you like maybe a little bit more that's popping up right now here on this board and you want to get a little bit more exposure to it, sure. But really, I'm probably not going to be placing like 10 plus bets today on this game. It's probably going to be maybe 5 slips, probably just one on Underdog, probably just 2 or 3 on PrizePicks as well, just as an FYI, unless we get some discounts or something like that where they're trying to force our hand as well. I do want to show you guys one MLB prop bet that we're getting right now if you guys want to make this a 6 slip bet as well. Well, it would really just be any of these top 2 right now. George Springer for over his fantasy score, or De La Cruz for under his fantasy score. If you guys want to use that to make it a 6 slip bet instead of 5 slip bet, you could. But that's gonna be all for today's video, guys. Thanks for watching. Make sure to give a like and subscribe. If you guys want some Masters content as well, head on over to the 9 to 5 Golf YouTube channel. Already have 2 videos out covering that. Would appreciate that. Good luck today. Hopefully you guys had a good college basketball season. I know I did. It was fun. Thanks for watching. As always, let's keep cashing.